it's something that I cherish. I don't use it all that often, but it is something that I look at almost daily. I always keep it out, like on my kitchen counter, or just, I have it to where I see it often, and I think of my grandma a lot. My grandma is a person that always held my family together. She was always the one that would organize family gatherings, birthdays, holidays. Like, she was the one who just made everything happen and work. And she was always very positive. Anything that would come up in the family, she just had the most positive outlook, and she would just find a way to spin it and be like, this is gonna be okay. She just held it all together very well. She also was the one that was the cook of the family. For anything, she wanted to cook everything. She didn't want anyone else in the kitchen. Like, she loved to do all the cooking and the baking, and she got me in love with baking. From when I was really little, we used to always make cookies together at Christmas time. Like, that was like a tradition every year. I couldn't wait for her to be like, we're gonna do it, we're gonna have this weekend where we're gonna bake all these cookies. And she would always take a bunch of them to family friends that she would have, or a bunch to church. And I always just really enjoyed that with her and loved doing that with her. And it just kind of became a tradition that me and her did. My grandma was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1995. I was not made aware of it at that time. I didn't, because I was a lot younger. But she battled breast cancer for 10 years. She was like, she did really well with like her treatment, and she was able to, I guess, fight through really well for a long time. She got really sick. Like, she fought for 10 years. She passed away in 2005, and her last year was really hard for her. And so, like, I remember the Christmas and Thanksgiving the year before she passed. She was not really able to do a lot for like the holidays, like cooking, and that was really hard for her. She hated not being the one in the kitchen and not doing all the cooking and the baking. But my mom and me and my aunts all kind of came together and did that, and it was a little bit of a relief for her. She still hated not being the one in control, but we just did the best we could to like do it up to her standards and make sure all the main things were made. So it was really hard to see her be like weak and sick and just kind of living on the couch. And so, but we did the best we could with what we had. Breast cancer, about 1 in 8 U.S. women will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. That's about 12%. A woman's risk of developing breast cancer is nearly doubled if there's a first-degree relative who has breast cancer or who has been diagnosed as well, meaning like a sister or a daughter or mother. Men and women both have breast tissue and are capable of developing breast cancer, but it's much less likely in men. It's only about a little less than 1%. And I know I'm sure most of you have heard of mammograms, but they're super important to have done. If there's no like reason to have them done sooner, any other like complications, to have them done once you start turning age 40. After my grandma passed away, my grandpa had a really hard time like changing anything, or like, I guess, accepting it. Like I said, she was the rock of everything. He was an alcoholic, and so she like kept him sober, and he was doing really well until she passed. But then he like I said, he didn't change anything. Her voice stayed on the answering machine for, honestly, it could still honestly probably be on there for all I know, but I know at least 10 years after, her voice was still the answering machine. Like, everything stayed in its place. Her shoes stayed by the door. Like, he could not let go of anything. And I called him one day because Christmas time had come around, and I still love baking, and I have younger brothers, and I would do the cookie thing with them, and I did not have a rolling pin. And so I was like, I know my grandma does. So I called my grandpa and was like, could I borrow it, you know? And I could tell in his voice he was kind of like he didn't really want to give it out to me, but I was like, I'll bring it right back, I'll be careful. And so he agreed to let me borrow it, went and got it and used it, brought it back, and when I brought it back, I was really surprised that he told me that I could keep it. And then he also pulled out some like recipe cards and cookbooks that she used to use a lot, and like recipes that were like some favorites of me and my brothers, and he gave those to me, and it was just really, that's this rolling pin. It's marble and it's heavy, and that's why I didn't bring it with me. But it was like really important to me and really special to me. And so, even when we moved to Japan, my husband's in the Marine Corps, when we went overseas, I left it here in storage because I didn't want anything to happen to it in our move, and so I just bought like a cheapy one for while we were over there. But anytime I'm in my kitchen, like it sits right there on my countertop somewhere. Like that's important to me to have a spot for it where I see it and think of her often. And anytime, especially this time of year, I love baking and cooking, and I just think of her a lot. I really hate the fact that my children never got a chance to meet her, but I talk about her a lot to them, and I am like determined for them to know her even though they never got to meet her. Like we talk about her often, and they see pictures of her, and they love baking too. They love helping me bake. So I just feel like even though they didn't get to meet her, they will know her. And losing family members is never easy. Cancer is terrible. It was extremely hard on us when my grandma died. Like our family just sort of fell apart. Like family gatherings were they kind of stopped happening, honestly, and holidays just weren't the same. But I'm determined to like continue having the traditions with my family